What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the JDW Sports Talk Show, where every fan is welcome. We're officially back, ready to rock and roll for our NFL Week 14 picks, predictions, score predictions, giving you my thoughts and my analysis on every single matchup. Should you bet on this? Should you bet on these games? Should you throw some money at any teams this weekend? And to be honest with you, there's a lot of games this weekend I would not throw money at. There's quite a few games where it's like, yeah, you really don't know. It's a 50-50. It's a tough matchup to predict. So the first matchup we have here is a good old NFC South matchup. You have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers traveling to Atlanta, taking on the Falcons. So the Falcons typically are a much better team at home, but they are pretty beat up. The Buccaneers have a really good defense, and I just kind of don't really trust Desmond Ridder to make more plays than Baker. Honestly, I take Baker over Desmond Ridder. I think you would take almost every starting quarterback over Ridder. Ridder had a couple weeks there where he started to look good coming off the bench, but he's Ridder. He's going to throw a couple of interceptions. He's going to fumble the ball. He's a turnover machine, and that's going to be a difference. And the Bucs can turn the ball over. So I do have the Bucs taking this one, 21-16, as you see. And I think the difference is going to be the Bucs offense. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. I'm going to trust them to make the extra play. And Rachaad White has been a decent back. A lot of people aren't talking about Rachaad White. I don't think they're talking about him enough. But I think the Bucs are going to be able to make the extra play. I don't see why the Buccaneers or the Falcons would be able to make more plays than them. I mean, you look at the pass rushes from both sides. I mean, you're starting at Atlanta. You don't have Grady Jarrett. You haven't. You don't have Amenyata. And then some of these guys on the edge are inconsistent. It's just a whole kind of like a crap show on that Falcons defensive line. They can't really get any pressure. And if you're not going to be able to get any pressure, then AJ Terrell's awesome. I love AJ Terrell, but the secondary is going to have a rough go at it versus the Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, some really good receivers. And then let's not forget to shout out Cade Otton. That man has been playing really well too. So I'm happy to see him playing well. But yeah, the Bucs offensive line, they're going to be all right. They shouldn't have too much of an issue with this Falcons defensive front. And then on the other side of things, the Falcons, Desmond Ridder just isn't really that great of a quarterback, whether he's being pressured or not. He's a turnover machine. You do have Drake London, you do have B. Johnson, really good players, but it's really, is it really going to be enough? I don't really think so, but yeah, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 21-16 over the Atlanta Falcons. Next up on the Week 14 slate, we have a good old NFC North matchup. A couple weeks ago, the Bears gave the Lions a scare, and I don't think that's going to happen again. The Bears really outplayed the Lions for the majority of that game, and they still didn't win. So what makes you think they're going to come around the second time around, they're going to be able to win this time? And that's why I think the Lions a lot closer than what a lot of people, I think the Lions a lot closer than I really think it would be. But really, I'm very confident in the Lions winning by, at least a touchdown, honestly. Like I said, you look at the first time around, the Bears really outplayed them most of the game. They gave them a run for money. You couldn't win then, and then you turn around just a short couple of weeks later and playing them again. Very difficult to replicate that against a team that has a much higher talent level than you. So I don't think the Bears are going to really be able to keep up with the Lions here. So I'm taking the Lions 31-20. The Lions aren't going to mess around like the first time around. And teams typically tend to overthink it the second time around and such. But yeah, I'm very confident in the Lions taking this one 31-20. This is one a lot of people are going to overthink because you look at the Lions' recent games. You look at the Bears, for example. That's kind of the game where it kind of seemed like this Lions team is becoming a little questionable. And then you had the Packers game on Thanksgiving. You had a few games here and there where it's just like, the Lions, are they the Lions that we saw in the beginning of the season? Or, are they frauds? Who really are they? They're a very talented football team. They're not a great football team, but it just seems like teams are getting to know them a little better. But really the difference in this one is just the talent, man, and the coaching. And Dan Campbell's going to do it. They're going to get these guys ready. Johnson, Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn. I think they're going to do enough to win this football game. So I do have the Lions winning 31-20. Don't overthink it. Lions should win this one with ease, to be honest. All right, next up on the list. So this one is one of the tougher ones to predict this weekend. So let's talk about Jake Browning versus the Jaguars, because I think that's very important for this game. So the Jaguars, when the Jaguars played Jake Browning, they blitzed. They called a lot of man coverage. And, if you're going to call a lot of man coverage and blitzing, you kind of got to, understand what your opponent has. The Jaguars were kind of going into that game thinking Jake Browning isn't really a good quarterback, and Granted, we didn't really see much, and the week before the Jaguars didn't look very good. But, I don't understand why you go into a game versus a young, inexperienced quarterback calling a bunch of man and blitzes and, these aggressive looks when you're, did you kind of forget who's playing receivers for the Bengals, right? You had Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins. All of those guys are capable of making big-time plays at any moment. So, I'm not saying quarterback is easy. Absolutely not. I'm just saying that why are you going to make it easy on the quarterback by playing man, by playing all this aggressive stuff? Because these receivers are capable of getting open and making big plays every single week. So why make it easier on them? Why, give him aggressive looks? Why not make him read a coverage, drop back and read a coverage, throw into a window instead of just throwing to a receiver? Now, I'm not trying to sit here and say it's easy. No, but that's just kind of the game plan that Jaguars had. I don't really understand it. But you're coming to the Colts. They can play. They play. Jake Brown is going from playing man coverage blitzes to, the complete opposite. The Colts have one of the lowest blitz rates in the NFL. And they're gonna call man coverage. They're gonna call cover 3. So they're gonna force Jake Brown to throw into some tight windows, and they're gonna get after. The Colts defensive line has been very good. They're having an elite season, which we actually have not seen from the Colts in a long time. But surprisingly, their defensive line, they're getting after it. And they're getting Grover Stewart back this week as well, so they should be able to stop the run. Joe Mixon has been running the ball really well against some good run defenses as well. The Jaguars have one of the better run defenses in the NFL. Now, we're traveling to Cincinnati as well, the Colts are traveling to Cincinnati as well, but I do think the Colts should take care of business. I mean, their passing defense is not very good. Their running defense, not very good. And on top of that, the thing that, really you're going to look at with this game is, can these receivers make big-time plays all day long? What Jake Browning will we get? What kind of quarterback will we get? Will we get the quarterback the week before the Jaguars, or are we going to get the quarterback versus the Jaguars? Which one are you going to get? That's a big question to ask yourself, but, the Colts are very well coached. Gardner Minshew is playing good ball. They have, a ton of different guys are stepping up, and they're finding ways to win, and I think they continue to do so here, and, I thought I'd never say this, but the Colts may very well be on a 6 or on a 5-game winning streak after this week, which is pretty wild. All right, so yeah, I got the Colts 24-20. Would not touch that line with a 10-foot pole. All right, next up, you have the Jaguars and the Browns. I see a lot of people picking the Browns just because of Trevor Lawrence, whether he plays or not. I don't think he's going to play. It's a high ankle sprain. He could be out 2 to 3 weeks. I don't expect him to be back this week, but I think a lot of people are looking at it and just being like, hey, he's out. They're not going to be able to score any points. It's, the Browns have one of the best passing defenses in the NFL. But let's not forget, what have I said for weeks and weeks and upon weeks about the Browns defense? You can't pass against them, but you sure can run against them. And what do the Jaguars like to do? What are the Jaguars really good at? They're really good at running the football and pounding the rock with Travis Etienne. So the Jaguars should be able to make a couple big plays on the ground. C.J. Beathard, I'm not a big C.J. Beathard fan. I never have been, but I think he can make a couple of big plays with, some of those receivers that he's got. He's got really good receivers. He's got Galvin. He's got Christian Kirk. He has Evan Ingram. Travis Etienne come on the backfield. Zay Jones. He has a slew of weapons in Jacksonville. Now, they are going to Cleveland, actually, but and I see the Browns are favored by 3 points. I wouldn't touch that line, to be honest with you. That's a pretty big spread for this game, to be honest with you, because it would not shock me if a team won by just 3 or, by 1 or 2. It's just going to be that kind of a game. But the issue with, no, I just really think that the Jaguars can make that extra play. Who are you going to pick? Joe Flacco, C.J. Beathard, who can run the ball better, who can stop the ball better. The Jaguars have a very good defense, okay? Very good run defense. They're going to stop the run. They have a good passing defense. The Browns offense is going to struggle, and the Jaguars offense is going to be able to do just enough and beat the Cleveland Browns in Cleveland and keep their lead in the AFC South pretty comfortable. I think a lot of people are really underestimating, and they're just looking at Trevor Lawrence being out and being like, yeah, the Jaguars don't have a shot. I mean, one thing you can do against the Cleveland defense is run against them, and the Jaguars can run at an effective rate. They can run the ball really well. Travis Etienne is really good at creating. Not a huge fan of the offensive line, but I mean, the Jaguars can run the football, so that's going to be the difference in this game. And C.J. Beathard just making an extra play with Calvin Ridley or one of those big-time playmakers on the boundary, even tight end Evan Ingram. So I have the Jaguars, and I'm pretty confident in that as well. More confident than what I thought just looking on the surface. Now, a lot of times you look on the surface of a game, you just glance at a game, you're like, ooh, that's a tough game to predict. But once you think about it, once you kind of break it down a little bit, it makes it much easier to really just, think about it. And it's not as difficult as you really think. Like this one. I think a lot of people are going to be overthinking this one. Like the Saints, the thing with the Saints is so far this year is they're one of the better teams on paper. They have a lot of talent, but they're just not bringing it to the field. They've been hurt a lot. Derek Carr, they're one of the worst red zone offenses. This is one of the worst red zone offenses I've ever seen. Derek Carr has never been good in the red zone. He's not good. It's a timing thing. He's not good with his footwork. You don't get timing in the red zone, you're not going to be successful down there. So, but, the Saints are flat out the better team. The Saints are ice cold. They're cold. They can't get anything done. They're on a losing streak, but the Saints are the better team, 100%. And I have the Saints winning 21-16. Would I touch the line? It depends on what Saints team you think you're going to see. If you think you're going to see a really good Saints team, go for it. But if you think you're going to see a Saints team that we've seen the last two games, can't really get it done in the red zone, and they're going to be kicking field goals all day long, then I probably wouldn't touch that line. I wouldn't be shocked if this game was a 19-16, 16-13 type of a game. But the Saints offense has had games where they have shown they can get it done. And I think this is one of those games where they're going to be able to get it done a little bit. Not only 21 points, but, they do make mistakes. They haven't been great at times, but I do think the Saints are going to make the extra play. Bryce Young can only do so much, man. The Saints, they have good players, and, they are beat up, too. So it's kind of why I have this game being a little closer than maybe you'd think. But, yeah, I don't think this game is, a lot of the games this weekend, they're easy to overthink, as they are every single week. But I think this is a game you just look at the paper, who's better, and it's just the Saints, obviously. 5 wins, 1 win. But divisional matchups, So you know what? I won't touch this game spread wise. So it's a divisional matchup. The Saints are beat up. The Panthers, they're hungry for a win. They're trying to spoil the Saints season. So they're gonna make it a close game. They're making it a tough game. Maybe this is the Panthers' second win. Who knows? But we'll see what Saints team we get. They are really beat up. But if this is a Saints team that can, play like they look on paper, this game won't be close. But the issue is they just can't get it from the paper onto the field. But just purely off the talent and what they have, I think they should, Alvin Kamara should have a monster of a game. So I'm taking the Saints 21-16 over the Panthers and that NFC South match down. I say match down, match up, I should have said. All right, next up, you have the Jets and the Texans. Another one that's really easy to overthink, man. And I know a lot of people aren't going to be overthinking this one. They're going to say, Texans, C.J. Stroud's going to be able to make the extra play, and those people are right. But, how is this Texans offense going to look without Tank Dell? Because last week when Tank Dell went out, this offense didn't really look the same. And, C.J. Stroud was missing a couple throws that he doesn't usually miss. I don't expect that to be happening this week. It's just a matter of fact of the Texans offense having more playmakers, and I think they're going to be able to run the football on the Jets, and that's one thing that you could do against that defense. You could get that run game going a little bit, and C.J. Stroud can piggyback off of them, throw to Nico Collins, Schultz. They still have playmakers, so don't think they don't have any playmakers. They absolutely do, but I just think that the Texans they're just going to make that extra play. The Jets are given 3.5 points. I would put money on the Texans here. I don't see why that would. I think that's a good. You do pretty good doing that, but yeah, I have the Texans. I don't really know what else to say for this one. We know what the Jets are. They're a really good defensive team. The offense is horrible. The Texans are, they have some nice playmakers. They should be able to get the ball moving. So yeah, I have Texans 22-10. Maybe they score a lot of field goals to get down in the end zone or the red zone. They just can't punch it in. But scoring field goals, man, you could score field goals against the Jets and win. You probably need to score 12 points and you beat the Jets. It's sad, but it's true. But yeah, Texans 22-10. All right, next up, you have the Raiders at home taking on the Vikings. I think I see a lot of people taking the Vikings in this one. But I do think, and the Raiders are given 3 points, but I do think the Raiders are going to win this one. I've taken the Raiders. I think they're going to be able to run the football, get Josh Jacobs going a little bit. Aiden O'Connell's looked really good. You have Justin Jefferson. Yeah, Justin Jefferson is actually coming back this game, but you have Devontae Adams. They have some good, they have some playmakers that can get it going, and their defense has been better at times this week, and or this year. And talking about defense, I have not been impressed with Josh Dobbs lately. He hasn't played really good football. He's kind of like come back down to earth, and I just kind of trust this Raiders defense to make that extra play, and the Raiders offense to make that extra play, to be honest with you. So I'm taking the Raiders 2017, and I would throw some money in the Raiders and take the shot, because they have, the Vikings have to come over to they have to go to Las Vegas. It's going to be a close game, but yeah, I got the Saints. I have the Raiders 2017. I'm pretty No, I'm not really confident in this one. This is really a 50-50 game, but looking at it, a little closer and breaking it down a little bit, I think the Raiders should win this one, giving them the edge. All right, next up, another tough. I don't know why I keep saying all these games are tough. Not all of them are tough. It's just from the surface they can. So the Niners at home taking on the Seahawks. They're 10.5-point favorites. I have the Seahawks winning by 11 points. I don't know what Seahawks offense are we going to get. Are we going to get offense? Are we going to get a defensive week? We don't know. But what you're going to get from the Niners, you're going to get both. They're going to shut down the offense and they're going to give the defense fits. So, the Seahawks don't have enough offensively, and it's not that they don't have weapons. It's that Geno Smith is too inconsistent. They're not really consistent on third downs. They're not great in the red zone. And, if you're not going to convert in the important moments versus one of the best teams in the NFL, I don't care if it's a divisional opponent or not. I wouldn't really touch the line, even though I have the Niners winning by 10.5 points. It is difficult to beat a division rival, any team 2 times in one season. So you're playing, a division rival. The Seahawks do a really good defense, here and there it's really good. It's just last week they kind of, crapped the bed a little bit. I thought it would have been the opposite. I thought their defense would have played well and their offense would have struggled. But this game, you're going to struggle to do any of it versus the Niners. So I got the Niners 31-20. What Geno Smith is going to show up. I wouldn't touch the line. I think that is a big spread for a game that could end up being a defensive game, a divisional game. Both teams are fighting for playoff spots, and I don't think the Seahawks are that far behind the Niners. If you think, the Niners have like 9 or 10 wins, right? So yeah, the Seahawks are a little behind, but it's a divisional game, whatever. But yeah, I have Niners pretty comfortably beating the Seahawks 31-20, but I wouldn't touch that line just because I'm saying I think they're going to win comfortably. I can be very wrong. It's a divisional matchup. Could be a defensive outing, so yeah. All right, next up, the Baltimore Ravens at home taking on the Los Angeles Rams. I thought long and hard about this one. I really wanted to take the Rams, but I couldn't. This is one of those games where, I want to pick that upset. I think the Rams could figure it out this weekend, but I'm going to go against my gut. And just look at the teams. Baltimore's at home. They are 7.5-point favorites. I think that is a big spread. I think the Rams can keep it close. It depends on what Ravens team are we get. Are we going to get that dominating Ravens team? Are they going to win 38-7? Are they going to win 38-10? Is that defense going to be dominating all day long? But that defense is very good. But the Rams offense is very explosive. Matthew Stafford is one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. You have Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Kyron Williams runs the ball really well, so you can't just sell out versus the pass. You have to watch out for Kyron Williams, but I think they should be able to stop Kyron Williams pretty early on and then kind of, tee off on Matthew Stafford, such like that. Ravens have one of the best pass defenses in the NFL, but when you're playing against a very explosive offense, it's going to be difficult to keep them at bay. So I do have the Rams scoring 28. Of course, I have the Ravens scoring 30. Rams defense is about middle of the road. They could, they could get up the quarterback, Byron Young, Aaron Donald. They have some really good guys on that defensive line. But ultimately, I don't think it's going to be enough. I'm going to trust Lamar Jackson and, that Ravens defense really to make that extra play because, that Rams offensive line, it's not great. They definitely have their issues here and there. And that I really think that's the difference in this game. Both of them have good running backs. Both of them have good, have some decent weapons. Both really good quarterbacks. But, the offensive line, the pass rush, that's going to be a difference in this game. So, I could see an upset. I could see the Rams doing it. But what made me go against my gut was, look, the Ravens are at home. They've been a dominating football team. They're flat out the better team on paper. Now, it's not how the NFL always works, as we all know. Crazy things happen all the time. But I'm going against my gut here. I'm going to trust the Ravens to win this one at home. The Rams coming all the way from the West Coast. So I had the Ravens winning it at home 30-23. I wouldn't touch that line. I think that line is a little big for my liking. But, yeah, I got Ravens 30-23. All right. This is another upset for me. I think the Bills are going to beat the Chiefs, man. The Bills are a very good football team. The record doesn't show it, but they're one of the more talented football teams in the NFL. They just pushed the Eagles team to their limits, to their absolute limits. They pushed them to the limits. And I don't see why they should lose to the Chiefs. I don't see why they should slow down offensively here. Now, the Chiefs, they did really just struggle on Sunday night versus Jordan Love and the Packers. Now, Jordan Love has been picking it up, right? But, that offense was really worrisome. And I don't think the offense is, I'm going to trust Stephon Diggs and, one of the Bills pass catchers or one of them to make the extra play over the Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs defense is very good. Their passing defense, one of the better in the league. Their run defense, their defense in general is just very strong. But the issue with it is, you can play good defense, but if you can't get it figured out on offense other than Travis Kelce and Isaiah Pacheco, you're not going to get anywhere. You're playing a very good football team here today. The Chiefs are. And, it's in KC, and that could kind of be the difference. But I'm taking Buffalo, man. You have Diggs, Gabe Davis. You have all these guys that can make big plays. Josh Allen on the ground with his legs. As Mahomes can do that as well, but Josh Allen's a different animal on the ground with his legs than Mahomes is. And Mahomes, other than Travis Kelce, who's he got? That's been consistent. They can make big-time plays and big-time moments. MVS dropping touchdowns, dropping wide-open touchdowns. You have Kadarius Toney, who I don't think I've really seen much from him. They still have him where they can make big plays, and the Bills are going to be able to make that extra play with Diggs or, whoever it is. And I really have a lot of confidence in the Bills here. I really do. Even though the Chiefs are home, even though they're only 6-6, the Bills are a much better football team than 6-6. They have gotten very unfortunate. They have had very bad moments. But it seemed like they put most of it together versus the Eagles. And I'm going to take the Bills. Get back in the winning column and beat up on the Kansas City Chiefs this weekend. It wouldn't shock me if they beat them by more. Honestly. I'd put money on the Bills. All right. Now we got the Chargers and the Broncos. Chargers at home. So this game is tough to predict, in my opinion. It can be very difficult, but I think the more you look into it, the more you break it down, and the more you look at, whose strengths, counters, who counters each other better. And, that Chargers defense, right, they've been good lately. They allowed 0 points to pit. Well, take that for what you will. That Chargers defense has been good. The run defense has been average, which is much better than what it usually is. So I think the difference is going to be is Russ making the extra play. Is really, Russ and Javonte Williams getting the run game going, which is going to open up the pass game a little bit, and the Broncos are going to be able to make the extra play because of that. The Chargers, man, they could pound the football too. Austin Eckler can have a huge day on the ground. I can see it. And this is a 50-50 game in my opinion. And I see a lot of people taking the Chargers. And the Chargers are actually favored by 2.5. I was a little surprised by that. But I had the Broncos winning this one. 2017, I think they're going to be able to run all over the Chargers. Whether it's Russ, whether it's Javonte Williams, or Russ making a clutch throw to Cam, not Cam Sutton. What the heck is his name? Is it Cam Sutton? No, I feel like his name is set differently. It's Cortland Sutton. That's what it is. Cortland Sutton's going to make a couple of big plays. They're going to be able to run the football. I got the Broncos upsetting the Chargers in Chargers home. So give me the Broncos all day, man. Give me the Broncos all day over the Chargers. I see a lot of people taking the Chargers. All right, so next up on the list, we have the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. A good old-fashioned NFC East matchup, a classic game every single year, both times they play, but Dallas actually has quite the winning streak against Philly at home, and Dallas plays much better football at home. And, to be honest with you, when I was watching that first game and rewatching it, I thought Dallas outplayed Philly for a majority of that game, with just a couple penalties and a few things didn't go their way, but that's the game of football. It's a game of inches. It's a game of making one or two mistakes, and that could be it. But really what I've said over the past couple of weeks is, it's much easier said than done. But a team that has an offensive line that can fend off that pass rush just long enough, you have a couple of receivers that can get open, and you have a quarterback that can be accurate with the football, make big plays under pressure, that Philadelphia Eagles defense is going to suffer. They really struggle against the pass. They have been. They were lit up like a Christmas tree by Brock Purdy. They really struggle against Josh Allen. He threw all over them. And I just think that, Dak Prescott is going to make that extra play over Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts has had a couple of nice games down the stretch, but it just hasn't been enough, man. The Eagles defense really bad, and they have to get that figured out. If they don't get that figured out, they're going to be making quite the exit out of the playoffs. Now they do, their game is they want to run that football. They want to get you down. They want to be up 10 points and just suffocate you and chew out that clock. But Jalen Hurts has made a couple mistakes here. He has been mistake prone this year. The defense on top of that has not been very good. It's very difficult to beat a very good opponent 2 times in 1 year. It's a divisional rival at that. And I think it's going to be a big test to that Eagles team, to the Eagles locker room, losing, if they do lose 2 games in a row, see how they're going to bounce back after that, which I think they will. It's very, they have a very good culture, very strong football team mentally. But I had the Dallas Cowboys winning here, taking the lead of the NFC East. Dallas Cowboys up 34-28 over the Eagles, 3.5-point favorites. I'm not putting any money on this game. I would not. All right, next up, you have the Monday Night Football games. We have a doubleheader. We have the Miami Dolphins taking on the Tennessee Titans. So this game should be typically, what happens when the Dolphins do play a pretty bad team. The Titans aren't a great football team. They are not very good. And the Dolphins are going to beat up on them. And a 13.5-point spread does not feel like enough. Whenever you see the Dolphins facing off a bad football team, a bad defense, and it's a big spread, take it. They cover them almost every single time. You're playing the Titans. You should be fine. They should put up 40+ points. And one thing that we saw the Colts do to the Titans last week is they went deep a lot and they hit on a lot. And the Colts haven't been that type of team to be able to do that. And now you're playing the what is it? Now you're playing Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. That's a whole different ball game. So I wouldn't be shocked if the Dolphins put up another 50 bomb here. But yeah, I have the Dolphins win this one 45-20. I don't really see the Titans. I can see them getting Will Levis putting up some points. Derrick Henry maybe getting the running game going a little bit. But that Dolphins defense has been very good the last couple of weeks. So I got Dolphins 45-20 over Tennessee. All right, so last but not least, as you see, I have an upset on the board. I'm taking the New York Giants over the Green Bay Packers in the last matchup of Week 14. I'm taking the Giants 20-13, covering the spread the opposite way. So my reasoning is the Packers have been a very good football team. I don't think the Giants are a better football team. This has trap game written all over it. The Packers are coming off of a huge win. Now, you can't go ahead and say that Jordan Love hasn't played any strong passing defenses or defenses in general. The Chiefs have one of the better passing defenses in the NFL. I mean, he did a very good job against the Lions, which that defense, take that for what you will at this point. But Jordan Love has put together 3 really strong performances in a row. Now, is he going to come back down to earth? Is that the Jordan Love? Is that the new Jordan Love? Is he going to stay like that? But I think this could be that game where he comes back down to earth. Well, let me tell you something. This Giants passing defense, this Giants defense in general can be very good. They are very good. And I think they're going to give Jordan Love and that Packers offense some fits, right? You get a couple of turnovers against Jordan Love, and I think the Giants are going to be able to run the football and really just constrain that clock and, just say, hey, we're going to run this darn football. You can't stop the run. We're going to run the football, and whoever is at quarterback are, they're going to make just enough plays. And yeah, listen, I just have a feeling. You know how sometimes those games you have a feeling, like today, I went against my gut a couple of times in some games, like the Rams and the Ravens game. This game, I am sticking with my gut, and I have reasons to pick the Giants in the upset over the Packers. Packers fans, you're not going to like this. Giants fans, you're going to love this. But this has trap game written all over it. And it's going to be big if I think this is a huge test for the Packers. Coming off of a huge win versus the Chiefs. Jordan Love having 3 strong performances in a row. Can they keep it going? The Giants are not a good football team, but I don't think the Packers particularly match up really well against them. So, all right, guys. That's all I got for you guys this week. Thank you for tuning in to the JDW Sports Talk Show. I hope you enjoyed my predictions. Feel free to give me your thoughts in the comment section below. Tell me where you think I'm wrong, where you think I'm crazy. Give me your predictions in the comment section. But, all right, guys, that's it for me. Thank you for tuning in to the JDW Sports Talk Show. Signing off.